Greetings, I'm CrazedNaly, and welcome to Starmade. See, before I even started a channel, in fact long before I got the new computer for this, I used to be really involved with a game called Starmade. For those of you who have never heard of Starmade, people will argue this to death. They're like, no, that isn't true. But it's essentially Minecraft in space. Yes, that is an oversimplification, but it is essentially Minecraft in space. With the notable exception that, if you want to build a ship out of blocks, well, that's the point of the game. You can build a ship out of blocks and it'll fly, it'll fire. In fact, I'd like to point out that the GUI I disabled the GUI. But, yeah, you can fly around and shoot things, and there's more than that. You can build space stations, you can colonize planets, which right now look like dodecahedrons. They used to be flat disks with gravity, and they were terrible. But I want to spend a moment showing you, my creative side. Mainly what I have built, and before anyone at the end of this video goes, "You stole this from, Naladrees. I remember seeing these on the Starmade forum." I used to have a Reddit account, in fact I still do, but I don't even remember the password anymore, called Naladrees. And that is not my current one. It's CrazedNaly on Reddit now. But in case there's any confusion, no, I was that guy. And these are my ships that I had submitted over that. Like this one here, the one I'm piloting right now, this is the standard fighter, because I made a fleet that was themed. And I managed to complete it before my other computer went kaput, and I stored them in an external. This is just a little one-man fighter. Much of the ships I'm going to show you have not been updated for Starmade's more recent updates for weapons. So, in reality, they are fancy cruise ships. They don't really have much in terms of firepower anymore. Like, I had a lot of homing missiles. Homing missiles are now some sort of shield beam. I have to look more into it. But there's an entire combination weapon set that goes with this, to where now they're pretty much really pretty. They can fly. They have really bad shields. I think the shield system must have changed in some fashion. I'm going to have to look into that, definitely. Because this fighter was managing to pierce through the shields of my capital ships, and that does not compute to me. So, when the stuff I'm working on later, I'm gonna have to fix. But this is my standard fighter with like 4 cannons and stuff. I call it the Strychnine fighter. But I'm gonna show you my entire fleet of ships that I made. I'm gonna go 6 or 7 months ago, before I got this computer. I had built these, and then my other computer broke. Like this is the cyanide bomber. This one probably got hit the hardest when it came to being neutered by the new weapon system. Like all those little red things that used to be homing missiles, they are not anymore. This bomber, which was the entire point of it, now has no weapons except for 2 puny cannons, which I made puny on purpose since it's a bomber. But, it's barely over this one in terms of size. But I was happy with it. Then I got bored, and and some blocks are missing, so you can kind of see inside of it now, and that irks me. But this is my Land Centurion. A bunch of people on the forum I was making were making mechs, and so I decided to build one of my own. No, none of the limbs can move. I tinkered with the idea, because you can have turrets that turn and move. I tinkered with the idea of having the arms be that way, but it didn't really work out, because you can only, at the time, I don't think that's changed. You could only have one thing at a time be docked and movable, and so I have this, the head, and the head actually can be flown around separately. But yeah, I I like it detail-wise, but it's not really practical. And these aren't in order in which I built them. I'll actually point out the first one that I built. These are actually some of the last ones I built. This is my Thorn frigate. And it's got like one little turret. I'm assuming it still works. I haven't actually tried the AI turrets. Some of them didn't actually load up when I loaded them. Maybe some sort of file issue. But yeah, we got these. A lot of thrusters. It actually still moves pretty well. Let's see. Right now I need my ship core. I don't remember which one that is. There we go. It's 0. Your ship core has a little beam that can fit. I'm just going to show you a little bit of the interior. Or not, since this is being a pain. Let me just exit the craft and then go inside. But this doesn't have a whole lot of interior. Like down here is the crew quarters, and for some reason a lot of the blocks, there's a lot of blocks here. I think these used to be missiles. They are gone now. So now there's just a big hole to the outside, because that makes sense. Right where they sleep. And yeah, this was before I realized putting the core in such an easily reached place was kind of silly. And then a nice little hallway. This ship, if it had a crew, I'd go it maybe had 12 at most. I'd go with like 6 or 7. And the pilot seat, which I made all glass so there'd be an impressive view. Like I even put one of the cockpit viewpoints on here, on the top of that canopy. Alright, enough of the Thorn. Then we have the Wormwood. And the Wormwood I actually got a little wild with. I was inspired by frogs and spiders, especially spiders, with like this area. It still works pretty well, because I had mainly dumbfire missiles, and those still work, and cannons on this. Like, the missiles here are now shield chargers, which isn't particularly impressive. I mean, I could go back in here and fix them all, but that seems silly, especially considering I'd probably have to fix all the shields and everything. These are now pretty much just mothballed. Like, I have some extra cannons on the arm things here. And then went a little crazy with the details here. I was getting a little more used to detailing. Little greeblies under there, and shields that showed up here. I like using the different, like, these aren't special blocks, these are thruster blocks. I just let them expose because they look nice, especially since even back then, before that current texture pack was around, they had moving textures. Let's exit again. Oh, nope. That doesn't work. I like this new braking thing. I want it back, thank you. And in here, yeah, the engine room is right next to where they sleep, but, you know, this is a smaller craft. Not bigger than the Thorn, but... And then I gave it an honest-to-goodness bridge. Tried to make it not so Star Trek-y, but you wind up having, like, this type of thing going on. I did fuse them to try to make it a little different from that. Yeah. This part was a pain, because I was trying to make a reversed wedge idea, and it's still exposed to space here, probably because of the block differences. I'd have to fix that now. I'm not going to. You can still see where I tested, like, that's where I shot the ship with my fighter, and that should not be happening. That's damage, which means it pierced the shields of that massive... That one's the Sulphur class battleship that I made. It's a giant space shotgun. I have not tested its weapons. I'm assuming they still work well. We might test it when we get there. Alright, on to our next ship. This had offense in mind. Like, these green things were actually markers when I was originally building it, but I liked the way they looked on the side so much I kept them. But I'm really proud of the little details I had here, because I wanted it mostly to be plain, but to have little bits and details. Like, that's the hatchway in. This is a much bigger ship. It has like 6 floors, so we'll take some time. I'll skim over it. And this one had some cannons, larger turrets, I mean. And from what I understand, it should all still work, because this one, it was all about the what were called antimatter cannons, and they're the rapid-fire lasers. All the red ones, though, are dysfunctional. This is a giant space shotgun, essentially, is what it is. Let's take a gander inside. But yeah, the engine room's in here. And this is one where I was fully planning to go into battle, so I didn't want to have it on the bridge. We'll take a look through build mode, where everything is on the bridge. Yeah, back here is where I put the core. And yeah, I was in here earlier moving it. So there's this door, it closes, and then here's like what would be a reactor core and the core. And this allows me to do it. Like, this has different viewpoints. No, this only has the one, doesn't it? Okay. Well, let's switch over to build mode. Like, here's the engine room. You're gonna get some glowing and some bouncing boxes around turrets and things. But this is much faster than me just walking. Like, this is the main elevator shaft. I'm only going to show you like this once. Down here is, I was going to fill this with boxes, but this is a storage area. But I got lazy and didn't fill it with boxes. It would just add a lot to the mass anyway, and I wanted this to be battle ready. I had a whole fleet combat idea. This was supposed to be, also got lazy and didn't fill in the cubicles, but like a crew quarters with cubicle office things, and is there anything behind there? No, there isn't. That's the end of that particular floor. Up here is, well, here's the brig, which is a little gigantic, honestly. And then the mess hall, with windows outward. And the cafeteria. Whoa! And the cafeteria. And then that leaves the bridge, and the bridge has like little sciencey sections with blocks missing. I think there's some blocks that in the update went away. It's been a while since I had played this. These are all built beforehand. God, I'm proud of that. That's on the Cauldron, my Cauldron carrier. Alright. Actually, let's just use this to fly around. This is my Cauldron class carrier. It doesn't have much in the way of weapons. It has like 6 turrets, and then it has room for a few others, but I left them off because they were annoying me. Like, here's the bridge with all of it's probably the best bridge I built on here, besides maybe Hatred's Heart. And then we got the engine room, and then the crew quarters, since it's full of pilots and technicians, a whole metric shit ton, mess hall and stuff. I tried to give each area living quarters and storage and things. Like, here's the locker room, and then here's where everything would be stored. Like, I don't know why I spawned this in and it had a little trouble. This is such a large ship with so many things docked that it actually crashed when I had not enough memory allocated to this game, and when I fixed it, it didn't have everything loaded in it. But when I saved it, it had, I believe, over 200 fighters in here, and every one of these spots was filled. I've since used a few to fly around, and this still has most of it. It just didn't put every single one in. But it's crazy to load. It even has this area I put in to fit like the Thorn or something else for repair. We got the side doors and the front 2 front doors. Look at the decals a little bit. like, I'm most proud of this. This took a lot of time to do, was this wreath. And it took a lot of iterations and planning. Drew it in my sketch pad and such. But, yeah. Turned out really well. I thought I was going to put, like, a number or something above it, but I decided against it. It looked really stupid when I did. And the shield fin. It's so pointless, but I love it. And then this is the very first ship I ever built. This one's called the Hatred's Heart. This is the prototype for which everything else was based. And it's also one of the second most neutered ship here. Like, every one of these... Yeah, they filled them with nothing. I bet there's just... Nah, it's filled. Okay. But each one of those was a guided missile. But now they're just random blocks that don't exist anymore. I made my own special variant for this because this is like an Emperor's ship. And these were pretty much the fighter I was in, except that they have extra thrusters and bigger cannons, and a splash of purple. Little area. Ooh, those got damaged by something. Not bad, but they got damaged. Oh, I bet I know why, because I tested this by charging, like, somewhere around here. Yeah, there. That was a pirate station. They decided to spawn a sector away from spawn. So I went there, and this actually has really powerful missiles in the front. And they still worked A-okay, my dumbfire missiles. And so I just blasted it. And yeah, here's the bridge, and it has a door to the inside and a little landing strip. And then the barracks, the engine room, and I did add boxes to this. I didn't quite get hit with my wave of lazy. You go down these shafts here, and there's like little gravity things. You can turn on gravity and walk around. And then this is the medical ward. I don't know why this is the only ship I have with a medical ward, but it is. And down here is the locker room, and it's mirrored on the other side. And then another turret goes back here into the hangar. This one has like 24 turrets. I'm making a point of not putting as many turrets on my ships from this point on. Oh, I forgot this hall. Since this is like an Imperial ship, this has to have the obligatory meeting room. And I try to make something close to a hologram. Now that we have colored glass, I can make an even better one, but I'm not going to. I might do it on my new ship, just for kicks. Because I did like the way that looked when I built it. And this had holograms, I think. They're just not up anymore. Put a lot of detail into this. Extra thrusters and such. But anyway, yeah, that's my fleet. I made this fleet a while back. I had this idea. Yeah, the Hatred's Heart. The font for this I actually went to a lot of trouble to figure out. It actually reminds me a lot of Batman Forever. Like the green font that they use for that. It works really well for it. But all the little details I obsessed over, because I didn't want it to just be a block. Like this, I'm actually surprised at how well it looks, since it's mainly just a block. But yeah, and in case you didn't think I did anything artistic with gaming or anything like that, I do. But down here is my newest project, although you can't really see it all too well what it is. Mainly because it's in the very early stages. This is pretty much what the beginnings of a Starmade ship look like. Usually people who build ships in this game do not build the pretty stuff first. They build the power generation and systems first. And this isn't even a completed power generator. I'm going to add more to this, because it doesn't have enough power generation. It has enough storage. Like, these are alternating rows, and they don't seem to have changed that much. Alternating rows of, like this one here, would be a battery. They're capacitors, and then these are the generators. And the weird part about the generators is that you can't just build them in a big block. If you build them in a giant block, then it won't be as efficient than if you checkerboard them. It's their way of just, I guess, keeping it from being too easy. Yeah, you pilot it from here, because it's just going to be very bare bones right now, because I just started it. And we got these, and then back here, yeah, this is where the capacitors work better if they're in a big group. So after a while I made a giant block of just capacitors, and then these are thrusters, and they don't have any sort of relationship. They're just thrusters. They're what make the ship go. And if I try to use it right now, it does go as fast as I want it to, but it doesn't have enough power to do it for any sustained amount of time. I need more power generators. Not more capacitors, I don't think, just power generation. And then I will be able to just sustain flight and fire weapons and have shields. But I'm going to probably put up what the ship is going to look like about here. Like, you can see my basic idea of what this ship will look like, but it's nowhere near there. Like, probably around that back butt area is where this will be inside of. This isn't even a 10th or a 12th of the ship. It's going to be a part that's inside of it. And this part alone is almost as big as, I'm too far away to actually see my others. Oh, there they are. Hatred's heart up there. This is almost as big as that, and it's just the power generator. So that should give you an idea of how big this ship will be. And it won't be to that color scheme and theme. It'll be its own deal. But anyway, I just wanted to show you that I do other things than just the straight up video games, and I do sit down and create. I have an artistic side. I was an art major, and I will continue to do things like the painting vlogs and whittle away at things like this. Although I could have built a ship this size in a week's time, but that was back before I actually started editing videos every night and started getting things down, actually having a schedule with these things, to where now I'm gonna go, this will take me most of the month to complete. But when it gets done, and when it reaches places in its construction where I have something to show you besides a block of mush, I will absolutely make another video and show you. But in the meantime, if you like me, if you like my artistic skills, you like what I've made so far, man, Hatred's Heart looks great from afar in the dark. But if you like what I've built, hit the like button and I'll continue to build more. And as always, click the nut on your way out.